Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City Council meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order this 20th day of February 2024 at 7:02 p.m. A quorum is present. Councilmember Morrow will not be joining us this evening. If you'll bow your heads with me, I'll offer the invocation and then stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Almighty Father in heaven, for the many gifts you have given us. I was looking at the sky tonight. What a beautiful sunset. We praise your holy name, your creation, and all the blessings that we receive. We beseech you to guide us in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I always feel like cheering after I say that. Do you guys feel like that too sometimes? All right. We have no proclamations or presentations this evening. Item 4. Do I hear feedback? Citizen participation and comments. Is there anybody in the chambers or online who would like to address the City Council? Do you have anybody online? All right, there is none, so let's move to item 5. City of Haslet general election is May 4th, 2024 from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We are electing council member place 1, council member place 3, and council member place 5. All terms are for 2 years. Also, the City of Haslet will be having a special election on that same day, and it involves the voters for or against the retaining of what is called the Street Maintenance Fund. It is a quarter-cent sales tax that goes towards street maintenance. Haslet is hiring. We have a number of positions open, and hopefully that we have filled the public works supervisor, but that we'll wait until they get here. Otherwise, please visit haslet.org employment opportunities. Annual Easter egg hunt. It'll be held on Saturday, March 23rd at 4 p.m. in the Haslet Community Park. We always have a great time. Lots of kids and lots of Easter eggs. One other thing with regard to elections, it's not on here, but I do want to make mention, is the primaries. Today was the first day of early voting. That runs to March 1st. The primary day, hope I don't get this wrong, is March 4th. Is that correct? 5th. March 5th. Thank you very much. And you have a full slate there, President on down. So please participate. Make your choice. Great pleasure here. Chief Mays, this is the introduction of our new volunteer firefighters. Haslet has a full-time paid fire department, but ever since the inception of the Haslet Fire Department up until last year, it was a volunteer fire department. And it is these young men and women that volunteer their time. And it's just not, oh, I'll be a firefighter. The rigor they have to go through to be able to stand over here is quite amazing. So, Chief Mays, please.
All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's that fun time of year where I get to introduce to y'all the newest members of the Haslet Volunteer Fire Department. Again, we have annual testing in January. It's a written test and then a physical agility test, and they go through the interview process. And so we try to maintain 27 volunteers, and so that's part of what they're helping us get to that status. So out of this group, one of them couldn't be here tonight, but out of the 7, 4 are what we call volunteers, and the other 3 are what we call junior firefighters. And so we've redefined that program just a little bit. But a junior firefighter is somebody who's either 16, 17, or 18 years of age, but still in high school. So we're trying to capture those kids that aspire to maybe want to be a firefighter and try to get them some direction in life. It's almost like it's the vocational part at the high school. They offer the different programs there. This is something as our community can do to help our local kids, because these people must live within a 5-mile radius to be a junior, and the other ones can live within a 20-mile radius. So anyway, so without any further ado, let me say one other thing about our staff. So Chief Thetford is the division chief over operations for the volunteer side. So he's responsible for communicating and coordinating all the volunteers. Chief Harvey, as you know, is a full-time, and he manages the full-time staff. But part of this crew, we have Lieutenant Dennis Selzer in the back. He is one of our full-time guys on shift. He's always been heavily involved with our recruit process since he's been here. So he's kind of taken over the training coordinator role, and then he communicates with Lieutenant Kip in the corner, one of our volunteers, and also does our emergency management. So I like to say Garrett's the babysitter. So Garrett's the one that is the liaison for the new recruits as they work together to complete their objectives. And so without any further ado, we have our very first person is Robert Alonzo. He lives in the Hurst area, and he comes from a family of firefighters. So he works at Bell Helicopter, and he's just wanting to give back to the community, not looking to go full-time. So got another engineer you can talk with there, Mayor.
Very good. All right, then.
All right. Tristan Everett is a volunteer, lives over in Sendera, and he has his basic fire certification. He's going through EMT school. Then we have Austin Gutierrez, who lives out in our ETJ area off of Blue Sky. Again, he's one of our volunteers, and he had tried out for us a couple of years ago, and then last year we didn't do any, and so we're back. So, you know, one of the things that I just always admire is somebody who's persistent and consistent and willing to get where he wants. So we're glad that he came back and made the team. Bradley Hooser lives, he's a volunteer, lives over in Lonesome Dove. He came to us from Nebraska. He owns a business, and he decided to move to Texas where it's a little warmer, and he works from his house or the fire station, we hope. And he's a ex-Marine. So he actually was in the competition he made the West, am I saying this right? West Marine. It was going to go against the East Marine to be the National Marine, and he blew his knee out in the middle of that. So anyway, second place ain't too bad, sir, out of the United States. We'll give you that. So, and then, so now we're down to our juniors. So Connor Borden lives over in Lonesome Dove. For those of you who did not attend the annual awards fire banquet, Connor is 16, and he received a life-saving medal. He was at his house when someone collapsed while jogging. It was on last National Night Out. The guys are coming back from a call. They had a quick response. And this gentleman is alive today because of Connor's efforts. And he decided that was enough to motivate him to come want to be a volunteer. So he's already coming to us with medals. So got a lot to hold up to there, Connor. Garrett Gibson is not here tonight. He's another one that lives in the Highland Springs area. Friend of the family. His dad's a police chief. And so he gets some of this structure that we are. We're just glad to see him come to the good side. And then last we have Luke Gustafson, and he's 17. He's a senior in high school, so he'll finish this term out still as a junior. but he's not far from being on the regular side, and he lives in the Keller area. And I believe he's a friend of Dennis. Parents go to church together. So, you know, we like it when we have a little more insight to who they are and how we can correct and mold them. So, anyway, that is our team, and we are super happy to have them here.
Very good. Council, would y'all join me, please? You know, I can't say enough about this volunteer program that we have. And going back many, many years, I've got to see the direct effect, positive effects that this volunteer fire department has had on young people in our community. Now, when I was first mayor in '99, our fire trucks were parked next door. Looked like a barn. Doesn't look anything like it does today. And that was prior to having our fire station down on 156. But it was a time when kids would just come up and hang out at the fire department. Mostly young men. And the mentorship that they found with those older firemen was just so invaluable. And I know several of them that benefited from that. And that is why we continue with this volunteer program. Yes, they provide a valuable service to us. And, you know, we were looking at it, and this volunteer time look at annually, it's like almost 2 full-time firemen, isn't it? So we get a great benefit out of it in that respect. But just to have an environment where young people can go and find a mentor, it's just so invaluable these days. But thank you all. Good night. Next, we have administrative reports. Council, do you have any questions on the administrative reports?
Yeah, just on the engineering report.
Yes.
And I know David and can probably speak closer to this, but on the main freight building out there that we're building, and on the panels actually going in on Westport, I'm presuming on the engineering report that's what that's talking about, is fixing the concrete panels out there. I noticed that's being paid for by the city of Haslet, and I thought main freight was going to contribute to that. Or Mike, that's fine if you can speak to it.
Yes, sir. The city had plans to make those repairs and were budgeted this year. What we decided to do was piggyback on their traffic control and their contractor that would be doing the work there at the intersection of Westport Parkway and Harmon Road. So the city had funds in their budget to make those repairs, and all we're going to do is piggyback on their traffic control while that lane shut down.
Okay. And you know how many panels they're looking at replacing on that ballpark? 5, 6?
5 to 6, yes, sir.
Okay.
Most of
And
them
I'm
on
presuming
that.
they're going to take it all out and I'm thinking the fill dirt underneath it's what's washed out.
Yes, sir.
All
Go
right.
back in with flex space, bring that up, and then do a full panel replacement.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? All right. Then if we will go on to number 7, updates on active items, projects, and event recaps, is Haslet Parkway construction. Activity has pretty much slowed greatly. This project is in review with Federal Highway Authorities and North Central Texas Council of Governments and TxDOT. And I have a meeting with them this coming Monday. And hopefully I'll have something to report to you. I'll send out a communique on that. David, do you have anything with regard to Mr. Rogers, anything on any projects or anything? I do know that Public Works has received some new equipment, very specialized equipment, to maintain our ball fields, and which will they've already been out there working on them and have materials. So go by and visit. Go by and visit. I wish I had pictures from a year ago. You wouldn't recognize the place now. Very good.
Hey, Mayor, just one on the on the Parkway construction. Do we got any timelines on like when Schoolhouse Road or 156 will start getting affected with construction traffic? I mean,
No.
2 months, 6 months, 9 months?
No, we
No.
don't right now. I hope to learn more about that in my Monday meeting.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yes. All right then. Item 8, consent agenda. 8A is approval of the February 5th, 2024 regular city council meeting minutes. Council.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion is made to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, council. I have an item on the executive session. It's 10B, and it concerns appointment of special counsel for grant and other federal funding opportunities. Mr. Simcox is here, and I would like to recess the open session at this time and convene in executive session as soon as you can meet me in there, please. And the time is 7:20 p.m. For the audience and those online. We shouldn't be more than 15, 20 minutes max. We'll try to make it as brief as possible. All right. You'll meet me in the boardroom. As a matter of record, that executive session was recessed at 7:54 p.m. Actually, 7:53, I'm sorry. All right, I'd like to resume the open meeting session. All council members are present in the chambers. It's 7:54 p.m. If we can go to public hearings, ordinances, and resolutions and action items. 9A is discuss, consider, and act on an ordinance changing the zoning from AG agricultural to GC general commercial for property located at the northwest corner of Harmon Road and Haslet Parkway, 750 Harmon Road. And Mr. Schwanke.
Mayor and members of the council, this is a project we've been working on probably close to a year, and we're being brought to you now as a zoning request for agricultural zoning to general commercial. The master land use plan shows this area as commercial, so it's in line with that. The purpose of this zoning request is to establish a QT service station right at the northwest corner, as the mayor said, of Haslet Parkway and Harmon Road. It contains about 3.4 acres of land. And you can put your hand on that square up there. It's right there, so you can see it's in the agricultural zone currently. And that red hashed area that covers it also is the I-35 overlay district, which relates to signage. It allows a taller sign up to 35 foot tall in that area. Now in the bottom exhibit, right where the thing says site, is where it's shown there, and the red is a general commercial type zoning. It's commercial, so it is in line with it. The two lines that are on each side of it that are heavy black are major thoroughfares: Haslet Parkway on the south and future Harmon Road to the north as you go across the intersection of Haslet Parkway. Having said that, any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
So the bottom diagram that has the word site on it, that is our future land use plan that the council has approved, which is general commercial, which is that red area.
That is correct.
Very good. All right then, is there any questions for Mr. Schwanke? If not, we'll go to a public hearing on this. All right then. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing for anyone who would like to comment on this topic of rezoning from agricultural to general commercial. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this, pro or con? Yes, sir. Please come up, turn on the microphone, and state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Mayor Halsey, members of the council. My name is Brian Clark, 8700 Freeport Parkway, Irving, Texas. I represent Quick Trip. This project has been going on for a year. Been a lot of back and forth, and I just want to thank staff, Morris and Mike Anderson, for getting us to this point, yourself, Mayor Halsey, and I'm happy to answer any Quick Trip related questions you'd have on this or any of the next 3 agenda items.
All right, very good. We would, this being a public hearing aspect of this, yes, after that's convened, we would could bring you back up for the council to ask any question they may have.
Yes, sir.
But you're in support of that change?
Absolutely.
Yes, I assume so. Very good. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the chambers who would like to address the council on this zoning change? Is there anybody online that wants to address the council, pro or con? All right then. I'll close the public hearing. Let's go to item 3 of 9A. Discuss, consider, and act. Would you like the project representative come back to the podium and you can ask questions? Do you have any questions?
Mayor Halsey, I have one, and I don't think we have to bring him back up
All
or
right.
not, but it's probably more for Morris. Is there any ownership issues based upon going from ag to commercial for this property?
No.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah,
Very-
the agricultural zoning is sort of like a holding zone until permanent zoning is assigned. So this is a typical type of action.
There is no owner contesting. Yeah.
I just have a question on the first block that you showed here, the top presentation. It says PD and then the rest of it says ag.
No, it's the PD is south of Haslet Parkway. North of Haslet Parkway is agricultural.
Okay. I see. So those two squares are not the same where you have the
Yes.
one on the bottom that side.
Yeah, the site is the same as the one that shows up there in the green where the hand is on the screen.
Oh, okay. I see. So it's only a portion of it that would be rezoned to commercial.
Just the area where the QT is going to be.
Okay.
Very good. Any other questions, council? Then it's to you.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the changing of the zoning from AG Agriculture to GC General Commercial for property located at the northwest corner of Harmon Road and Haslet Parkway, 750 Harmon Road.
The motion is made to change the zoning or approve ordinance, change the zoning from agricultural to general commercial for property located at the northwest corner of Harmon Road and Haslet Parkway, known as 750 Harmon Road. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? Not a call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous? Very good. Thank you, council. It's approved 4-0. Item 9B, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of a site and landscape plan for 750 Harmon Road. Mr. Swanky.
Mayor and members of the council, this is the exact same area that we talked about. And if you can pull up the site plan for that. Go on down. Right there. And I don't know if you can zoom in or not, but that square on the bottom is where the quick trip is going to be, and access is going to be through to Haslet, from Haslet Parkway through a hooded left turn lane if you're going eastbound, and then most of the exit of the property will be going out onto Harmon Road and going south. There will be improvements on Harmon Road to accommodate that. Now, if you're going westbound on Haslet Parkway, you can go out the entrance you came into and then proceed west. One of the things that is included, and it'll be the last slide in this, is a lighting diagram showing the lights that go up right there. And this lighting plan does meet Haslet's ordinance. We had our engineers review it as far as their expertise, and they looked at it, and it does meet it. So, having said that, this is a public hearing like the other one. If you have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer.
I do have one question, I guess, and I'm sure you've considered, it looks like the truck, things are in the back of the QT,
That is correct.
okay? The tanks and everything, or I make sure if the fill tanks and everything, because I know they come at all parts of the day to make sure that they're not going to interfere with all.
No, they shouldn't be interfered with at all.
So, Mr. Swanky, one more time, if you would go back where they enter going east is semi-pro, or they're going, and how they're going to exit
Okay. Can you go back to that original site plan?
from the east end.
If you look at Haslet Parkway, down the very bottom, there's a hooded left turn. And that's how the trucks would enter.
How much space would be left there for stack?
Between 3 and 4. And then they'll go into the site, and the trucks will normally go straight north, and then they'll go through their gas pumps or diesel pumps right there where the hand is. You can put the hand back up there, fuel up, and then they will go out the exits on the east side of the track, then go down south. And from that point, they can either go east or west onto Haslet Parkway. cars, on the other hand, could exit on the entrance where the hooded left turn is. They can go out there. Trucks would not be able to make that turn. They'll go out onto Harmon Road. At this point, you know, the Harmon Road is not a through street. It provides access to adjacent properties, but no real through street to the north. And the future alignment of Harmon Road will swing to the east and end up tying into Heritage Park up on West.
Will the westbound truck still come through that same?
They'll go through the intersection.
Still from that hooded left turn,
Yes.
that they may be making a right turn.
Yeah.
Okay, and there will be no overnight parking of the truck at this?
That's a question you'll have to ask the applicant, but there doesn't appear to be any room for that.
No, ma'am, there will not be. We don't have any truck parks on this site. It's literally just a fill up and go.
I had the similar question. Okay, how do you enforce this? Because I've seen the QT that's on 35 and 114, and it seems like trucks are always there overnight. Is there some way to enforce this, or is this something that the city would have to enforce?
We typically post signs that say no overnight parking, and then as well as train employees to make sure that we look for abandoned trucks or trucks spending time overnight. But on this site, there's quite simply not room for them to park anywhere that would be comfortable for them to stay overnight.
Only question kind of goes back to what Councilman Maryland and we're asking with the entrances and exits. Because you've got one main entrance for this. I know there's one on the east side of the property, but westbound traffic on Haslet Parkway has to enter on the south entrance. And then eastbound on Haslet Parkway has to, enter from, that south entrance.
Yes.
Then anybody coming up from Caraway, which would be going north on Harmon, really has to enter on that south entrance. So you got one entrance, and that's on Haslet Parkway, which is, it's really what it is, our major corridor, east-west to the town. And I think we're going to end up bottlenecking Haslet Parkway right there. Because folks going north on Harmon, there's a divided median that they can't turn left into that entrance. So the only people that can use the entrance on the east side would be somebody coming south on Harmon Road. So I think what this map shows, it's pretty limited access to the facility. And that's my main concern is what's it going to do with traffic congestion on Haslet Parkway.
Mr. Anderson, you want to address some of this because I know you and QT work closely together on this.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Mr. Horak, to your point or to your question, wanted to point out, and I don't know if it's been pointed out yet, they're proposing to install a four-way signal at the intersection there of Harmon Road and Westport Parkway and construct the deceleration lane for westbound traffic. The limits and the amount of construction that will be done at Harmon Road, as well as the extent of the improvements up through their second drive there on Harmon Road, we're still in the process of working all that out with the applicant because there is the need for additional right-of-way above and beyond what the applicant has the ability to dedicate. And so as we continue to work through this is conceptual design, probably 15-20% conceptual design for Harmon Road. As we finalize the engineering for Harmon Road, we'll have to sort out whether or not an additional access into the property for that northbound traffic could be accommodated. But at this point, the applicants proposed, and we're comfortable with the amount of access to the property based on the traffic projections. We did provide them with the traffic projections for Haslet Parkway that were developed prior to the design, and they've gone through all that. What they've come up with, we support. It meets spacing standards for City of Fort Worth, and so we feel like what's shown there should provide adequate access to the property. you know, the trucks and their access, all that will have to come out and then sit at the light there that's being proposed at Harmon Road and Haslet Parkway. So your concern, if I'm hearing it correctly, is what is this going to do to the east-west capacity of Haslet Parkway?
Yeah, mainly the the westbound traffic.
Yes, sir.
You know, with people, one cutting across, turning left, the ones that are going east, you're
Yes,
trying
sir.
to turn in. And then you've got the northbound Harmon Road and the westbound Haslet Parkway, all trying to get into basically one entry.
Yeah, and we've got a 350-foot deceleration lane there, and a good example of this layout is it's right by my house. Actually, it's on 2499 in Flower Mound, 45 mile an hour, 6-lane divided road, corner of Waketon and 2499. It's set up the same, and I know there was a bunch of public comment at that particular location there in Flower Mound over the last few years as that property was being developed. And going through there every day with that turn lane's made a big difference at that location.
Yeah.
So-
Now, this project builds this right in, if you're headed from the intersection, headed west, this project will build this right-hand turn lane.
That's
where
correct.
the those who are going to go to the service station, they actually get off the main lanes of Haslet Parkway and pull into that. So there's a considerable stack up that you could have in that right-hand turn lane.
Okay, I'm just looking at, with our, with our push to get the truck traffic diverted over, to this L section and, and beyond when it becomes a thoroughfare.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of truck traffic in general on that road.
Yes, sir. And I believe it was the first meeting we had with the applicants, we expressed the city's desire to maintain Haslet Parkway as maintain its capacity for east-west traffic. And we told them that we weren't interested in seeing a study that showed that the turn lane was warranted or not. We told them day one that turn lane needed to go in. Then it had to have adequate length to account for the potential for semi-truck usage, as well as the 45 mile an hour speed limit that's currently posted on Haslet Parkway. So we'll work through with the applicant on the amount of the intersection that's getting built. The mayor's been in contact with Fort Worth about right away on the intersection. You can see they own parcels north and south of Haslet Parkway. We had a meeting with them 2 weeks ago. They're in the process of trying to flesh out exactly what's going to be required to allow us to acquire that right away on behalf of the applicant. Of course, all the costs associated with that would be borne by the applicant, and all this gets tidied up in a facilities agreement, which will be the next step. And we get into the final engineering, which will probably take 6-8 months. We'll come back with final set of engineering plans, a CFA, and a final plat for this location that we'll have some more information on those, mainly the improvements there on Harmon Road. Really trying to figure out a logical approach to getting those facilities constructed, because we don't have anybody actively trying to develop the east half of Harmon Road through there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Very good. If there's no more questions, I will go to a public hearing. All right. At this time, 8:13, I open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this approval of the site and landscape plan presented, pro or con? Is there anybody on the online that would like to speak, pro or con? Okay, if there are none, I will close the public hearing. Again, 8:13 p.m. All right, council, let's discuss, consider, and act. It's yours.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the site and landscape plan for 750 Harmon Road.
Motion is made to approve the site and landscape plan for 750 Harmon Road. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All right, I call for the vote. All in favor? 3-4, all opposed? One opposed. Motion passes. All right. Thank you, council. 9C, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the QT preliminary plat. Mr. Swanky.
Yeah, Mayor Halsey and members of the council, there is a preliminary plat that covers more property than what the QT is going to sit on. That is because when somebody plats their land preliminarily, they have to show all their land. And so they had to show a little concept of what could be shown on the north. And can you go down to that plat, please? A little bit further. Right. We'll actually go, yeah, that'll work right there. So this goes all the way up to the bend in the current Harmon Road to the north, but the property is at the southeast corner of the track. So they had to do a preliminary plat of everything that they own, and they have done that. And the reason why we do that is to make sure there's adequate utilities, roadways to service both properties. And the little site plan that they prepared for that, can you go down one? Right there, you can see a building is pretty much the worst case scenario, almost covering the site to the north with parking and also building. There is a little bit of a tract on the west side of this, which accounts for drainage that will occur from this. So in the preliminary stages, all that's been accounted for: the drainage, the water that's necessary, the sewage capacities, etc. And having said that, they have fulfilled the requirements of the preliminary plat.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Swanky? We'll go to discuss, consider, and act.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion to approve the QT preliminary plat.
A motion is made to approve the QT preliminary plat. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All right, call for the vote. All in favor? It's 4-4, unanimous. Motion passes. Thank you, council. 9D, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the Laterra commercial preliminary plat. Mr. Swanky.
Mayor Halsey and members of the council, this is a plat that's just south of the 7-Eleven and the Sonic at Avondale Haslet Road and 156, and going down to the plat if you could. And it's been reviewed by our engineer and staff, and there's several buildings that were scattered on the south, and there's, of course, on the corner there are some buildings, and but they were going to reconfigure the lots that were in between and on the very south end, and since they were going to reconfigure them, they had to do a preliminary plat. It's my understanding at this point they have one user, but they had to show a preliminary of the whole tract, and that's what they've done on this. Having said that, this is, like I say, that meets our standards. They've done a TIA on the property as far as what was going to be required down the road, and this is something that the staff, like I say, the staff has reviewed and are recommending approval.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Swanky?
Yes, I have a question. So off of 156 going north, will there be a left-hand turn lane?
I'm going to have our engineer step forward and answer that. He's been deeply involved on it.
Okay, back up here again. So, as Mr. Schwenke stated, there was a preliminary plat that covered this subject of 11 acres, well, it was 11 acres, now it's 6.29, but the preliminary plat had expired. That was prepared back in 2015. So, when the applicant came in and told us that they wanted to sell off a lot for construction of a new medical office building, we told them that they needed to take their remaining property, which is everything you see in black there, show what's existing in gray so we can sort out, ensure adequate access to the adjacent properties that had been developed. They also went through and updated their preliminary plat that was produced back in, I don't remember when, in 2010, 2012, something to that effect, to account for the change in conditions that we've seen with FM 156 as well, and Avondale Haslet Road. To answer your direct question, I think if we scroll through the exhibits there, if you don't mind, Garrett. Let's see, there you go. So if you zoom in on the main driveway, you'll see a left-hand northbound turn lane into that main drive. So you'll also note that there's a provision for a secondary or third access point off 156. And if you really get into the weeds, you'll see that that doesn't meet spacing. And what we're trying to do is help these folks ensure they have adequate access to their property in the event that access off of Avondale Haslet is impaired with the construction of the bridge project. So we took into account the bridge, we took into account the improvements that are being done on 156 with the Haslet Parkway expansion, and worked with the applicant to develop a plan, a kind of a worst case plan of, hey, this is what we're going to need, TxDOT, we're going to need your support, and we're going to need you to look at this with your standards in your pocket, so to speak, so that we can help provide adequate access to this property so it's successful, meets fire codes and all that stuff. So buildings you see there are the buildings that would be constructed over time. The traffic impact analysis and the conceptual layout of the access points and the turn lanes, that's all at TxDOT under review. That's a process in and of itself. And so what we've worked out with the applicant is they can move forward with the construction of and selling of one lot, and prior to the selling of any additional lots, all these TxDOT improvements would need to be in place that you see here on concept plan now. Again, that's me taking the traffic impact analysis, working with the applicant, and laying this out. Everything's subject to TxDOT approval because it is their road. But what we have found is that when we go through the process, help us plan the adjacent land uses subject to their approval on their roadways, they usually feel pretty good about what we put.
So when you turn right going south, is there an acceleration lane there?
There is a recommendation for an acceleration lane. There's some language in here for that. One of the things we're trying to work with on the applicant is trying to sort out what exactly is going to be done with the Haslet Parkway project. So it's kind of in flux right now. So that there was a recommendation in the TIA for that. There's language on the plat document that states that. It's not clearly shown on this exhibit, but yes, ma'am, we're evaluating the need for that because it was part of the TIA recommendation. Yes, ma'am.
That's one question.
Yes.
I think this came up years ago when they originally started building this out. Are there enough parking places to accommodate all the buildings that are represented on here?
Yes, sir. There's a summary based on their square footages and their uses in there that shows they meet all the standards for parking. And again, they don't have end users for these, and the goal of what we're doing is try to take worst case and plan so that they do have enough land, take into account land needed for drainage. They've actually got to put their drainage underground to allow for adequate parking. There you go. So there's their site data summary table where they go through each lot and tell us, yes, sir, we're meeting. And then all the layouts were checked by the fire department to ensure conformance to fire code. One other thing I would like to point out on this, if you could zoom back out, you're doing a good job operating the computer there. There you go. See the, you missed it. Go back to there you go. You see that yellow line that's running perpendicular to the railroad. As buildings develop on the south end of the property, we don't have water and sewer down there. So as you get into the weeds of the utility plan, as those properties come in for a site plan and final plat, assuming the preliminary plat's still in effect and doesn't expire, then the applicant would extend water and sewer facilities. And so we avoid having a dead-end line, extending a dead-end line. The applicant will be responsible for a pro rata share of that line underneath the railroad. And it's anticipated that that water line would tie into the future high school over there that would be coming in with the NISD at some point over the years. So just wanted to point that out, that at some point, and we document all this in our agreements with the applicant, goes on file so that we don't lose that information. But the oversizing of that line from an 8-inch to a 12-inch would be paid for by the city. That's our record.
Would there be any chance to work with a developer to get them to take out that raised divider at that current entry?
Oh,
and flatten that drive
the
out?
pork chop,
Yeah.
ski ramp.
Triangle that everybody runs over?
So I believe there was some language in there about that. I don't recall that it said to remove it, but that's certainly something we can discuss. I think, when that was done, it was to encourage right in, right out movements with the addition of this facility. All that will get reworked through the final design. So I'm not going to promise you yes, because text up, but I'll do my best.
I'm guilty of running over it. Now, I'm
Yes, sir.
telling you, I come out and I turn left, and I go in, I turn left into it. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
all over that hump.
Yes.
When this project came up, guess what was the first question I asked?
Yeah. I'll go down there and help them.
Any other questions for me about the plating or the preliminary engineering? Not?
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Swanky, council, you have any other questions for our planner or engineer? If not, let's go to item 2, discuss, consider, and act. It's yours.
Mayor Holsey?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Laterra Commercial Preliminary Plat.
Motion is made to approve the Laterra Commercial Preliminary Plat. Is there a second?
Mayor Holsey, I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? I call for the vote. All in favor? That's 4-4. It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Motion approved. Item 9E, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the North Glen Phase 3 final plat. Mr. Swanky.
Mayor
Well, you've been
Holsey,
busy today.
it's been a busy month. Mayor Holsey and members of the council, this is North Glen Phase 3 final plat. And wait just a second. Well, this is the third phase of, I believe it's only going to be 4 phases of North Glen, but it conforms to the preliminary plat for the most part. We had them change the northeast corner a little bit so that the drive-in actually lines up with Brownwood, so we didn't have a staggered drive on the north side. Can we go down to the plat now? Right there, you can see how the drives line up. Originally on the preliminary, they did not, and we thought it was best that they do. It really resolves some conflicts, and they've worked with us on that, as well as working through some of the other issues with water and sewer. The staff is recommending approval, like the Planning and Zoning Commission did.
Council, you have any questions for Mr. Swanky or engineering?
Just real quick, and it's been a number of years since I've dealt with North Glen that much. I know there was originally 4 phases, and Carrie mentioned that they combined like 2 and 3 into 1 phase, but don't they still have that one piece of property right there still to develop, right?
Yeah, go back to the location map if you
Yeah,
could.
the colored. That
Yeah,
one,
there's
that
a-
one shows it best. Yeah.
There's a chunk in between there that has not been
Okay.
platted.
Have they designated that now as like phase 4? Or some,
It will be phase 4,
okay.
unless they want to go for 2 phases on it and do 4 and 5.
I guess that's sort of, if I remember, when we approved the phase 2, they actually combined part of phase 2 and phase 3 together. And then I thought phase 3 then would become the phase 4, to all complete the neighborhood. But I guess they're only coming in with the partial.
That is correct.
Okay.
And, you know, and one of the things we look at when they're bringing phases in is make sure that there's adequate circulation. So you have 2 points of ingress and egress. So that's what they've had to do to get this. They had to actually access it up to get out.
Can we go back to the plot itself?
It's actually in 2 parts. This is a northern part, and then there's a southern part. Right. Yeah, we'll want to make sure when that other phase comes in that we do not make that a cut through. Make sure that it's more of a circuitous route. Make it more difficult for.
All right. Anything for our engineer?
Just last question, just to make sure everything here is half acre or better, correct?
20,000 square feet or more. Yeah, under the R2 zoning, you know, we don't have strictly a half acre lot. It's 20,000 square foot is what our ordinance says. And we treat it as, say half acre. A lot of times for half acre and acre lots, but it's a full acre lots in the R1 district, but in the R2, it's 20,000 square feet.
Yes. All of these are. Very good. All right, council, then let's go to item 2, discuss, consider, and act. It's yours.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I move to approve the North Glen Phase 3 final plat.
Motion is made to approve the North Glen Phase 3 final plat. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? If not, I call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous, 4-0, motion passes. Thank you, council. 9F, discuss, consider, and act to revise ordinance Article 6.02, garbage regulations. Presentation on that. I'll take that honor. Okay, this is essentially our current ordinance states that you cannot put your trash out any more than 12 hours in advance. So that's nominally 7:30 in the evening. Can't do it at 6. or our code enforcement officer will be sitting there waiting to write you a citation. Now, citations have been written because of this, but not that strict. But nonetheless, this and is requesting that we go to 24. That would give residents more time. You know, we got large lots, we got half acre lots, a big lot nowadays, but it gives them time throughout their day. A lot of people work, things of that nature, to take their trash out. I visited with all the departments. They did not seem that would be a problem at all, is to allow people to put out their garbage and trash 24 hours ahead of time. Also, this accounts for brush. It gives them more time to set out their brush that one day or that type of stuff. So, any questions?
I just want some clarification. So neighborhoods with HOA, this ordinance does not override their rules.
Their rules can override ours. If they say, no,
7 o'clock at night,
it's
7
set,
p.m.
it's, you only have 6 hours
Okay.
before they pick up. You know, because of their HOA rules, they can be more restricted than ours.
So they can be more restrictive, but not less restrictive. So the citywide, it will be no greater than 24 hours. But if neighborhood, like the HOA I live in, it's the dusk before, such about 12 hours before. And so HOAs are still permitted to have that, and the residents within those neighborhoods would still be required to comply with their HOA bylaws, what they state. But we would only be enforcing it for the 24 hours.
So this does correct that, but I do know that like in many HOAs, it says 12 hours, but Republic Services says that they want it set out by 7 o'clock in the morning. So that means it would have been before the city if it would have been the 12 hours. So this corrects that, but, that's.
No, I don't understand.
the H-
Republic wants, okay, the morning of the pickup, they
They
want you to have it out by 7 o'clock, because that's when they're liable to come by and pick it up.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that means you had to have it out, if you said 12 hours before the 7 o'clock, that would have been 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock the prior day.
Correct.
And
Now
that,
you
and
can
that,
go to
now this is gonna correct that, but that's my concern last time.
7 a.m. the preceding. That will be 7.
Yeah, 7 a.m. That's, I said it corrects it, but
Yes.
before we had a conflict, I believe, on that, so.
Very good. This fixes that? Oh, good. I wasn't aware of that, but, good. All right then. Any other questions? If not, let's go to item 2, discuss, consider, and act.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to revise the ordinance of Article 6.02 garbage regulations.
Motion is made to revise, ordinance article 6.02 garbage regulations as submitted. Correct? Is there a second?
I second that.
There is a second. Any other further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Nine G, discuss, consider, and act to revise ordinance 027/2022 regarding alternate board members' participation in open and closed meeting discussions. Mr. Page.
Thank you. So approximately a year ago, we discussed making some amendments to the alternate member service. And at that time, what was decided by you all was to disallow participation by alternate members unless there was a quorum required for the board to meet. And so which would mean that even if there were absences, the alternate board members would not be able to participate, again, unless there were enough absences that a quorum wasn't going to be able to be met. And so what this does is that it amends it just a bit so that if they're able to participate in the discussions regardless of the quorum, but they are not going to vote on it unless a quorum is needed for that. So they can still participate in all the discussions, both in open and closed session now. But again, the vote will only occur, they will only be voting should their vote be needed. And so that is what the ordinance does. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And I can give you the genesis of the request, which came to me. But nonetheless,
Okay, I just want to have a clarification. You said that they could not participate. However, they can participate if they're called on by the chairman. Is that correct to speak?
Sure, just
Okay.
like any other member of the
Right.
public.
I just wanted to clarify that
Okay, thank you. Yes.
because I know they do speak now. So, but the chairman calls them.
Okay, so that may be how it works, practically speaking. I don't attend the board meetings, so that just like any other person in the public could participate in the meetings, but they are not, I guess, participating from the dais and in more of an official capacity. So I believe this would allow them to do that.
that was, that had come up, and that's what I had advised the chairman of these different boards, is that you can call on that alternate member as you would as a member of the public and allow them to speak. But, functionally, I watch this at different meetings where there's alternate members there and some are just dutifully sitting there and obeying all the rules. and then the board would maybe go into executive session, and they would sit outside. And I thought about that, in that he asked me to be an alternate member, but I can't say anything. On top of that, now let's say from a functional aspect, I'm asked to fulfill a quorum requirement, and that's going to carry me into executive session possibly on an item. And in executive session, the chair will typically go around and kind of, how do you feel about this? And you could come to that alternate member and they go, I haven't got a clue because I've never heard any of this. Functionally, it doesn't work. So that's why I put in there to attend closed sessions as well. But when it comes to voting, is respecting, I'll say, being a full member on a board that's a special position. And unless they are filling that quorum requirement, that they do not vote. Yes, participate, discuss, open and closed. Voting is reserved for the full board members.
Question on the voting then too. Are they reserved to also not able to make a motion or second a motion?
That's correct.
Okay.
Unless they are filling a quorum position. That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, Mayor Halsey, I would like to make a motion to revise ordinance 027-2022 regarding alternate board members' participation in open and closed meeting discussions.
Motion is made to approve revision of ordinance 027-2022 regarding alternate board members' participation in open and closed meeting discussions. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any
Mayor,
further discussion?
Yeah, just real quick comment. I'm glad to see this come back. You can obviously look back last year and see I was opposed to the original change. Having served as an alternate and a regular committee member, I know the benefits of being an alternate. I think this will keep more citizens involved on different boards and committees when they know their voice is actually heard.
Yes.
Even when I was an alternate, I knew my vote didn't count. But we all know every individual brings a different viewpoint to any topic. And so the more views we can have in open discussion, I think the better we all are in these boards and commissions making the right decision. So thank you all for bringing this back up.
Yeah. Previously, I'll say in the olden days, and I think this thing was far right. It was an extreme. And then we made the ordinance change, and we went to the other side. And I think we're here in the middle now. But nonetheless, thank you for those comments.
Yeah, I've got one more. Just make them aware that if they go into executive session, that obviously everything stays, that they can't come out and say anything about what happened.
Oh, yes,
in
they
executive
are
session.
bound by the Open Meetings Act.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
It's 4-4, it's unanimous. Thank you, council. 9H, discuss, consider, and act on approving ACEDC executing a contract for legal services. Mr. Page, you want to present that?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Just as a history lesson, of course, our firm has been representing the city of Haslet for a little over a year and a half now. We were hired in August of 2022, so almost for 2 years now. At the time, the engagement letter was specific to the city of Haslet. Now, in the last year and a half, we have certainly advised on legal matters for all parts of the city, including economic development matters and including issues involving the HCEDC. such as the sale of their various properties and any other legal matters that have come up. Recently, there was proposed legal action that the EDC was discussing, and at that time, I had determined and our firm had decided that we were not technically their attorney because there had been no legal contract approved between our firm and the EDC. Now, of course, the EDC is its own separate corporate entity, and so any contract between our firm and the city would not have necessarily covered them, and we would not have been able to represent them in court as their attorney because we had never been truly hired by the board. So we have been in discussions for the last month or two about how to make that happen. I'm happy to report that the EDC board has recommended approving our firm to officially serve as their attorney. Now, the HC-EDC bylaws do require the city council to approve all such contracts, and so that's why this is before you all to have a final decision on that. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mayor Holsey?
Yes.
I do have one question.
Please.
I guess based upon this, the EDC does not have a separate fund that they would be actually looking at paying you as the law firm from. It would still come from the city funds.
No,
They have their own.
they
they
have
have-
their own
they have their
budget,
own
and
budget.
they actually have a line item, legal service.
Okay, that's the question.
And presently, well, it's a little less than 10,000, but it started out at $10,000.
Okay, thank you.
And
so
they
that,
can
that
make-
would be the, I'm sorry. That would be the benefit of having this official contract, so that you would, when we submit our bills, we have it. This is for the EDC, and so we know that it's coming from their budget. And so, if they need to allocate additional funds for whatever reason over the year, they can do that versus it being kind of intermingled with city funds. So that, again, since they are a separate corporate entity, it's just cleaner from a financial standpoint as well.
So it says the financial impact is none, so this means that there's
No,
no
to the city.
to the city.
And, as I understand, there is no payment. They just bill based on you.
Yeah, so it's an hourly rate, and the rates are the exact same as our firm does it with the city. So it's going to be, there's really not going to be any cost change. It will just, and when we submit the bills, that's really going to be the only part that's different, so that it gets sent directly in line item for the EDC. It'll be separate matter number. Again, this is all on our bills, so it really won't have any practical difference because we will continue to serve the EDC as their attorney. We'll be answering any questions from the mayor or from the EDC board as necessary. Again, it's really just kind of a back end change to kind of make it official.
Just worst case scenario, I have one other question then. If there's a conflict between EDSC and the city, is that addressed?
So
Yes, that is addressed. I don't think the council will let it get that far because they exist on your sole pleasure.
I just foresee there could be where we think one way, the city thinks one way, and the EDC thinks another way, but we have one firm representing them both.
So I'm happy to address that. When you say there might be a conflict, we would not be conflicted out unless there was a true legal conflict of interest, which would mean that not just that you disagree on maybe a project or how to approach an issue, that there's truly some sort of legal issue that you guys are opposing parties on. And so anything besides that, there really would not be a true conflict that our firm wouldn't be able to handle. And so anytime that there may be a disagreement between you all and the EDC board, that's really going to be more of a policy issue that you all as the elected officials would be more in charge of addressing versus our firm. And so again, we would not, there would be just so few examples where it would essentially be if you all were trying to sue the board or vice versa. A conflict of interest is going to be more substantial than, again, just a conflict, a disagreement sides.
No, I've thought, because I've heard that mentioned before, and I can't even fathom a situation like that. I just can't even make it up in my mind where that would happen.
That's the reason it will.
Well, I'm very hopeful that it won't.
Well, but I will say, though, while there is that very small potential for there to be a conflict of interest that would arise, that would require one or both sides to hire outside counsel. The flip side of that is if the EDC board were to hire a different law firm, you would end up essentially having two different attorneys advising on potentially on the same issue. And so if I was advising you all for a project and they had different legal advice, you would pretty much be stuck, because either you all would have to disregard what I'm saying, or they would have to disregard what their attorney was saying to move forward. And so then you would kind of get stuck, and it would really jam up. And so there's also, that would be actually far more likely to occur if these two entities had different attorneys. But again, that's all up to you all. I'm happy to say the EDC board has.
Well, I'm
decided.
happy the HCEDC board chose your firm and you, and that has that cohesion for the city and the HCEDD board with regard to these legal matters. I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to do, and it's no cost to the city. There'll be no additional cost to HCEDC other than use. If they pick up the phone, they'll discover the meter's running. All right. So it's let's go to item 2 that's not on here. Discuss, consider, and act.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion to approve the HCEDC executing a contract for legal services.
Motion is made to approve HCEDC executing a contract for legal services. There's a second.
Yeah, just to clarify, should we add in that motion that it's with Brown and Hoffmeister?
Yes.
Yes, with Brown and Hoffmeister. Would you revise
I
your
will.
motion to that?
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to revise my motion to approve HCEDC executing a contract for legal services with Brown and Hoffmeister.
All right, motion is made or revised to approving HCEDC executing a contract for legal services with Brown and Hoffmeister. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
Very good. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
9I, discuss and consider and act on appointment of an alternate member to the HCDC Place 6. At Place 6 is a full member, and we have 2 alternates to choose from. You have their materials, and if you so desire to appoint a member tonight, that's who you have to choose from.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Frank Gatto as the alternate member, to appoint alternate member Frank Gatto to the HCEDC to Place 6.
Motion is made to approve Frank Gatto, the alternate member Frank Gatto, to the HCEDC Place 6. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any discussion? Did you desire to go into executive session? I've got a spot for that if you do. If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? 4-0. Ms. Hotwater, please inform Mr. Gatto. He is now Place 6. That means we have I believe he was alternate member 2. And we'll look to fill that. And we have several board members open, but we did a good job last year filling a lot of spots. Very good. 9J, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of an ordinance adopting the 2024 Master Thoroughfare Plan. Mr. Schwanke, if you give an overview of that, or Mr. Rogers. Oh, you changed looks on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. If you give an overview of that and really
Yeah.
just point out specifically what was changed.
This is to basically bring our master thoroughfare plan up to date and to make it match our master land use plan, which currently it does not. It's to add on our master land use plan, we have the little area of John Day Road that was not on our other master thoroughfare plan, and two little roundabouts on it. So it shows those in there. Also brought it into the city limits since we have annexed it. And then it's to clean up on our master land use plan. Our idea is for a bridge, of course, across the BNSF track, across 156 and across Schoolhouse Road. So that was to make our thoroughfare plan and our master land use plan match up. So they both look the same. So when somebody walks in, they see the same thing on either one.
Last, about 2 weeks ago, I was in conversation with another government entity, close neighbor, and about this bridge for Avondale Haslet Parkway. And they requested our thoroughfare plan because I was describing the need, instead of a bridge just over the tracks, a bridge over the tracks, 156 and Schoolhouse Road, for to accomplish true mobility. And I pulled up the master thoroughfare plan. I'm going, where'd it go? Well, it's shown on our master land use plan, not the thoroughfare plan. The master land use plan
It's been updated, but the thoroughfare plan
well, I don't
had
know
not.
what happened. Something happened. We approved the master land use plan first, and then a month later or so, we approved a master thoroughfare plan. And I'll call it a Scribner's error. It just didn't. That bridge didn't make it. So
But it's
this
there now.
is focusing on that and putting it on there so another government entity says, "May I have you send me a copy of your master thoroughfare plan?" Yes, here you are. And that was, other than that, everything else is
Everything else is the same
intact.
except for those two items.
Mr. Rogers, Mr. Swank, anybody want to make any comments? But council, do you have any questions to our staff?
Regarding the bridge, where we're at today with what we know, is the current plan still with just the bridge over the track? Or is
Well,
that still being?
I'll say it here, the state of the bridge is two years ago, we had several meetings at the Laterra Kitchen, bringing focus to the need for that bridge. And the initial discussion of it was a bridge over 156, Schoolhouse Road, and the track. And about a figure was put out there, about $30 million was put out, saying, okay, that is what would be needed to fund it. And about 2 months later, that same party, which is about almost 30 people, stakeholders, Haslet, other than the federal government, Haslet being the biggest stakeholder at $13 million, cash and otherwise. It was revealed that the RTC would fund a $16 million bridge, and that was just over the railroad track. Well, my jaw hit the ground, as well as some other people. And I wasn't going to tell them to throw it away. But here we are. So, and the design was going to commence at that time. Well, and I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing this, I'm stating fact, but nothing happened. We got a profile, and that's where it stopped. Until up to what, maybe starting 3 months ago,
About 3 months
that
ago.
this Haslet Parkway had gotten so sideways on because of the utilities not getting out of the way in a timely manner, and I made issue of it, a big issue of it, with COG and TxDOT. Then we started having movement, and so that's where COG authored a plan to send it to the Federal Highway Authority Dallas office, a draft for their comment and review before it's sent to Washington. Now, in the background of all of this, you know, I'm looking at this bridge, and I have spoke with TxDOT and the engineering company, AECOM, who is tasked with designing this under subcontract TxDOT, is that I don't think this is a safe bridge. It is the steepest grade that allowed by TxDOT manual. And unless there are steeper ones, and I haven't found that section in the book yet, but it's a 6% grade. Now, as you look at that, I'd ask for a sight and braking distance analysis, a sighting, and you're taking account your reaction time and speed and coefficient of friction on the road. It just goes into all of it, and I didn't get anything. I said, okay, Halsey, you do it. Well, I did do it. I'm an engineer. I can read that stuff. It's all pretty basic. And I did that using national standards. I did that analysis. And Mr. Rogers, I gave him all. I did 4 scenarios. And I gave them to Mr. Rogers. I said, look at this. I mean, does it state what I found here? I mean, is there anything else I need to do or add to this thing? And he said, no. But anyway, to tell you is, under ideal conditions, as I crest the hill, well, your vertical vision, some more than others, but the average person, the vertical vision, plus or minus 15 degrees, recognize an object. And as I come over and crest the hill, you know, well, this down here, well, I'm still looking out in the out on the horizon, and I don't see anything down here yet. But by the time I get to a point in my vehicle with my eyes at 3.5 feet above the ground, the surface, road surface, which is the standard for the analysis, unless I'm in a semi-truck, but for an automobile, is that I'm on the downhill side of that bridge. And I see, and I assumed a 10-car speed. That means from the light, the stop bar at the light, back up the bridge 300 feet. Volatile. 10 cars. But it's semi-truck, stuff like that. It could be more, you know, but you have to make something. Under ideal conditions, that means, okay, I crest there at my very first opportunity. I see that automobile, and I have a 1.5 second reaction time to apply the brake, start, stop. I'm not doing this or talking or whatever the case is. Then I can stop in time and have, I think it was like about 100-foot buffer between me by the time I stop and the car in front of me. That last car in the queue. All right, well, let's say it takes me 2 seconds. Let's add a half second to that reaction. I'm in the back end of that car. I have a collision. Let's go back to the 1.5 second reaction time. Okay, well, and now, under that, that's dry conditions, everything's fine. It's not 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning and I'm traveling east and the sun is in my eye. I didn't take that into account, but that's reality. But, so let's go back to the 1.5 second reaction time and let's put some water in. Now, the dry conditions, your coefficient of friction, everybody's anxious to know. It's 0.7. You put water on the road, it drops anywhere, depending on your grade of tire, anywhere from 0.4 to 0.3. The lesser the friction, coefficient of friction, the worse it is. So in this analysis, it was 0.32. 1.5 second reaction time, just due because there's some water on the road, not a flood, just some water on the road. I have crashed into the back end with a driving force. And I think about 50 feet into that pile of cars. If I have a 2 second reaction time instead of 1.5, I'm about 150 feet into that pile of cars. It never ices in North Texas. Well, there are different calculators and tools you can use for these analysis, and I had to go. I found one that the Army Corps of Engineers uses because they allow you to take into account height. All right, I'm on a negative 6% grade downhill. I'm traveling at this speed, and there's ice on the road, and there's a red banner at the bottom that says, "You will never stop." Yeah, you do not stop on ice. You go through everything. So I'm saying, and I'll be sending these to different entities tomorrow morning. And it's throwing, in my opinion, it's throwing good money after a bad design. There's nothing they can do for this thing to save it. Now, I did look at what speed would we have to travel to be able to say, when it's wet and I have a 2 second reaction time, what speed can I go and stop? The maximum speed's 25 miles an hour. And I'm sitting here, that's probably a whole lot to ask for the people around here. They're not going to do 25 miles an hour. Not going to happen. I don't care how many signs TxDOT puts on that damn bridge. It's not going to happen. So I've been telling them this is an unsafe situation. I said, I'm looking at it from an operational aspect. Thank you very much for $16 million bridge, but it's not going to work. That bridge will be down as much as it is up because I'll have EMTs and paramedics out there half the time. If the bridge, I've notified them, we do not have the equipment to maintain that kind of grade on a bridge like that during icing conditions, is that we'll just have to shut it down. You're not coming over this bridge. Because I can't have people just sailing uncontrollably through that intersection. And I put them all on notice on it. But I was in a meeting today and someone made a comment with respect to engineering. I said, you know, the interesting thing about engineering, I said, I've discovered over many, many years, I said, there's some things I don't want to know. There's some people that don't want to know this or know, in my opinion. We've done something. We built you a bridge. Okay, well, you know what? It may cause more problems than it solves anything. That's where I'm at. And so I'm sending that, and my push is to put a bridge over the tracks, 156 and Schoolhouse Road. There's too many people say, and different entities that say, yes, that is what you need. So, did I answer your question, or did I take a long-winded approach to things? So, the bottom line is, that bridge is not in the design yet. Neither the short one
or the long one, because FHWA hasn't ruled on what we can do.
All right.
But there are still things in the work, hard work, that to get what we functionally need. That's safe. And actually addresses mobility. My gosh, this thing, how we got sold to own this road, I'll never understand. It's an extension of Highway, State Highway 17 is what it is. And we're going to own it. We're going to fix every crack, anything that happens out there from now on. And likewise, that bridge. We'll own that bridge. And this is a regional thoroughfare. It's a regional road. The primary users of it aren't going to be people that live in Haslet, Texas. I can guarantee you. So, I'm sorry. I'll get off my soapbox. We got other business to do. All right. So, did we approve the master thoroughfare plan?
Nope.
Okay. So, we're in discussion. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. One more quick question.
Oh, gosh.
Quick. No, it's be quick. It's just measurement. On the, on Blue Mound Road west of 156, is there enough room? Do we own enough right of way for a 4-lane divided road right
That answer is no.
No.
But that's taken into account in the design and the proposed bond company.
Okay, that's what I thought. I mean, the width of a 4-lane divided road is pretty wide.
What?
Right
No,
now,
we
that's-
claim, no.
Yeah,
no.
we do not have that much right of way yet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, unless there's any other questions, let's discuss, consider, and act. Council, you have any?
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I move to approve the ordinance adopting the 2024 Master Thoroughfare Plan.
Motion is made to approve the ordinance adopting the 2024 Master Thoroughfare Plan. Is there a second?
Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? Not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous 4-0. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. All right, then, executive session. The City Council reserves the right to adjourn into executive session during the course of the meeting to seek legal advice from its attorney regarding any item posted on the agenda as authorized by Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. Also, with regard to council will address Section 551.072, the lease of city property, and also in Section 551.074 is the appointment of special counsel for grant and other federal funding. No need, we will not be discussing the place 6. That's already been voted on. So I would like to recess the open session. It's 9:12 for, let's take, meet me there in 8 minutes. That makes it 9:20. Take a break, and we'll resume in closed session. All right, council, let's resume the open session at 9:55 p.m. All council members are present in the chambers. And if we could go to item 11, consider and take any action resulting from executive session.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Barnes and Thornburg LLP as special counsel for grant and other federal funding opportunities.
Motion is made to appoint Barnes and Thornburg, as special counsel for grant and other federal funding opportunities. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There is a second. Any any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Very good. That takes care of all our executive session items. Future is agenda items I have on the budget, or on the agenda rather, is coming here in the very near future, is Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, CIAC for Water and Sewer Impact Fee Report, and also the security systems to consider for implementation to curb tennis court vandalism. Public Works, Mr. Tucker is researching a system right now that's pretty neat and self-sustaining. I mean, it's an app type thing. Yes, there's hardware out there, magnetic lock, but patrons can go in and get their own code. It schedules them, and you know who's in and out, but also the thought is being placed, okay, well, we'll have cameras out there as well, just recording if there's something that happens. Now, there will be nobody actively watching monitors. It's just the reporting. If something happened, the recording can go be reviewed and identify a time when it happened, and then go to this other system that keeps a log of people's access in and out, who was in there, and gives us an opportunity. But hopefully that type of having those two type of things would discard or deter the vandalism. And this really all came about is that HCEDC had been wanting to fund some covered benches out on the tennis court, so you're not sitting out there, playing tennis, whatever, and you're waiting your turn or whatever, and you got some shade to sit under. And Park Board said, yeah, fine, we'll accept that, but not before you get some security system out there.
I was going to ask, is there any other deterrents that we need to look for vandalism in other places of the park?
Well, I know that we've got our bridge. The only other vandalism I'm aware of is the bridge over towards Schoolhouse Road. It goes under the tracks. We got some local artists. We got a Rembrandt around here living here, and we don't even know it. So they like their spray cans, so they're going to whitewash all that business. And I'm not aware of any right now. Yeah, we are aware of that, but I'll tell you is that we were talking about that today in staff, and I've seen other cities when they've had vandalism. Well, spray painting people. Is the city or municipality will say, okay, hey, we're going to turn this into a community project and paint a mural here. Who wants to help? Well, if the community helps to do it, these artists come out and drove, well, they're going to be protective of destroying their art, aren't they? So that's being, thought about, and probably we may forward that idea to the park board and see what they think about that, and eventually come to that. So if you have or know of any particular vandalism. We are not aware of any right now. Not that there's a one-off once in a while. It seems that the restroom vandalism has ceased. Couldn't put a camera in there anyway. It just seems that there's a lot of there's abuse of the tennis court. Not as special to some users as it is to the rest of them. So this may take care of that, and we'll bring that to you when we got some prices and how the system and how it could work together. What we are intend to do is get this together, what it could do, and then take it to our TSTO supervisor and go, what do you think? How could this work together? Not that they'll be monitoring anything. They won't be monitoring nothing, but, you know, with recorded footage, if there's something happened that clues us in, okay, we can watch the footage. In the footage, we can identify a time. We can go to this other system, who was here. Because you can't get in unless you got a code, because it'd be magnetic lock. Anyway, that's all I have for that. Do you have any future agenda items? All right, then. Item 13, adjournment. May I have a motion?
Mayor Halsey, I move to adjourn.
Motion's made to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor? It's unanimous. You said yes? Oh, okay. I thought I saw the folder go up. Gotcha. All right. All right. Meeting is concluded at 10:02 p.m.